This segment demonstrates how to assemble your new Craftsman 110-pound toe spreader. When assembling, do not fully tighten any bolts until you're directed to do so. To begin, press a 1-inch tube plug, part 37, into the hitch tube, part 12. Then insert the hitch pin, part 41, and secure it with the hairpin cotter, part 36. Now press a 1-inch tube plug, part 37, into the ends of both hitch tube supports, parts 4 and 5. Next, align the hitch support tubes, parts 4 and 5, with the hitch tube, part 12, and loosely secure them as seen with 1/4 inch by 3.5 inch hex bolt, part 7, and a 1/4 inch nylock nut, part 32. Then align both hopper braces, part 8, and loosely secure them with 1/4 inch by 3.5 inch hex bolt, part 7, and a 1/4 inch nylock nut, part 32. Now press a 1-inch tube plug, part 37, into each of the hopper support tubes, part 6. Then press a hex flange bearing, part 38, into both of the hopper support tubes. Now slide the hopper support tubes onto the gearbox assembly, part 11, aligned as seen, with the hole at the end on the left of the spreader. Then align the hitch support assembly and loosely secure both sides with a 1/4 inch by 2 inch hex bolt, part 22, a medium spacer, part 26, and a nylock nut, part 32. Leave the bolts loose for now. Next, slide the cross brace, part 3, down over the spreader shaft and align it with the hopper support tubes. Then press a 3/8 inch plastic bushing, part 40, onto the cross brace, part 3. Now loosely secure it with 2/4 inch by 2.5 inch hex bolts, part 21, and 1/4 inch nylock nuts, part 32. Leave the bolts loose for now. Then slide the spreader impeller, part 9, down onto the impeller shaft. Now insert an 1/8 inch by 1 1/2 inch cotter pin, part 30, through the spreader impeller and the impeller shaft and spread both ends of the pin. Next, press the hopper bottom black bushing, part 39, into the hopper. Now align the hopper and slide it down onto the spreader shaft. Then insert the hairpin agitator, part 31, into the shaft. Next, insert a 1/4 by 1 3/4 inch hex bolt, part 23, and a 1/4 inch washer, part 34, and a nylon washer, part 33, down through the hopper and hopper support tube, and loosely secure it with a 1/4 inch nylock nut, part 32. Repeat for the other side. Next, slide the grip, part 42, onto the flow control arm. Then ensure the flow control is in the off position. And insert the 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch carriage bolt, part 24, through the adjustable stop, part 25, and align it with the flow control assembly as shown. Next, slide on the nylon washer, part 33, followed by a 1/4 inch wing nut, part 43, and tighten it now. Next, insert 2/4 inch by 1 3/4 inch hex bolts, part 23, with 2/4 inch washers, part 34, through the flow control assembly. Then add 2 more 1/4 inch washers, part 34, and slide the bolts through the hitch tube. Loosely secure it with 2/4 inch nylock nuts, part 32. Leave it a bit loose for now. Now insert the end of the flow control rod with no hole, part 10, into the tab on the flow plate as shown, and then rotate it to lock it in place. Then slide the other end into the flow control arm and secure it with 1/4 inch washer, part 34, and the 3/32 by 3/4 inch cotter pin, part 28. Now align the top of the hopper brace and insert a 1/4 inch by 1 3/4 inch hex bolt, part 23, with a 1/4 inch washer, part 34, and a nylon washer, part 33. Loosely secure it with a 1/4-inch Nylock hex nut, part 32. Repeat for the other hopper brace. Now fully secure the hitch tube. Next, fully secure the hopper and hopper support tube fasteners. Then the hitch tube and cross brace. Now, onto the side of the axle with the hole at the end, slide on a large spacer, part 27, followed by a 1/2-inch washer, part 35. Next, slide on a wheel, part 2. Then slide on a 1/2-inch washer, part 35. Secure the wheel with an 1/8 inch by 1 1/4 inch cotter pin, part 29. On the other side of the axle, slide on a large spacer, part 27, followed by a 1/2-inch washer, part 35. Then slide on the other wheel and secure it with a 5/32 by 2-inch cotter pin, part 44. Next, set the adjustable stop at 5 and move the control handle back against it. Then slide the control bracket along the hitch tube until the flow plate in the bottom of the hopper is open halfway. Now, tighten the bolts and nuts, fastening the control bracket. Make sure not to deform the control bracket. Now, ensure the flow plate will open and close all the way. Readjust if necessary.